All right, I'm just going to test the sound and see if people can hear me. So if you can hear me, if you can type in the chat window that you hear me. Great. Am I loud enough? Loud and clear, Dave says. Good. All right, so I have that it's 4 o'clock, so I'm going to try to get started right on time. I promised you a 20-minute webinar, and that's what we're going to go for. And so we're just going to jump in and get started. Can you see my screen? All right, so we're good to go. All right, so I'm going to try to remember to do all the things that I'm supposed to do in this webinar, like share my screen and record the video and ask questions. And so hopefully I'll do a good job of doing all of those things. It's still pretty new to me to participate in this way as a leader. So, okay, so this is our digital literacy workshop. We've done digital literacy workshops for the last 5 years or so, and we're doing something new this year. Hopefully it's going to work out better for people trying to get to them by having them where you don't have to go anywhere. So hopefully you're sitting at your desk, or you're sitting at home with your feet up, or sitting at Starbucks, wherever you want to be, and you're able to get this little chunk of stuff, and then we'll just have little chunks of it, so hopefully not to overwhelm you. Okay, so earlier this afternoon I sent out an email with some collaborative notes, and in those notes, and you can take a look at them later if you want, but I'm just going to pull them over here for a second so you can see them. So in those notes, I've got the presentation slides that I'm doing. I have a website with more information. There's a link to some frequently asked questions. And then I have the steps process for setting up your Google account. So just things to get started. If you want to, in those notes, you are welcome to jump in. I see there's a couple of people on here, and you can actually ask questions or share ideas of how you're going to use it, things like that. So to make this kind of a collaborative space, and as we're learning about Google Docs, I have this set so that anyone with a link can edit, or that's what I planned on, so hopefully I do. And so you can use those notes or just use them as a reference for later. Any questions so far? I don't see any questions, so I'm going to keep going. Okay, so GoToMeeting basics. These may change as we do these webinars and I learn better ways to do things, but I have everybody muted because when we all could be talking at once, or everybody who has a microphone, but there's a lot of background noise and it gets really distracting. So the way we have it set up right now is that everyone's muted except for me, and if you have something to say, if you can put it in the chat box, like, you know, unmute me please, or something like that, I'll be happy to unmute you, and you can say what you need to say, or you can just write your question in the chat box. The other thing, as we get going on these webinars, probably won't happen today, if somebody wants to share something that's on their computer, I can actually change the presenter so that you can actually share what's on your computer with the rest of us. So as we get going with GoToMeeting, those are some things that we can do. At the end of the session today, there'll be a reflection form, and it's a Google Doc form, so there'll be a link to that. And how we're keeping up with the clock hours for these webinars is, first of all, you're listed on GoToMeeting, how long you've been in the meeting, and then also just a quick reflection of, you know, something you learned, that kind of thing. So we'll have a record of how many visits that you've had. And so, and clock hours is 3 hours or more. So you'll have to attend at least 6 of these sessions, and they're 20-minute sessions, but we're assuming that you'll have a few minutes to do the reflection as well. So 6, and then you can clock hours for this course. Questions? Okay, I'm continuing on. Okay, our learning targets for today is we're going to learn how to set up your Google Apps for Education account and how to get your students set up. And I just wanted to quickly say, I know we have a couple of people here from the Northwest Career and Technology Academy. I think I said that right. Yours is a little bit different. So just listen and learn about what we're doing. And if you have questions about how that's different for you, please just get in touch with me and I can help you out with that. So just a few minutes ago, I saw that an email went out sharing with you that we have Google Apps for Education and how to log on. So that's what we're going to go over today. And just really quickly, so that you know how to log on, there are instructions in the notes that I sent you, and then also in the email that just went out. Anybody who knows me knows that I'm very excited about this because I love Google Apps, and I've been using Google Docs in my classroom and in my job for years. But there's always been that issue of it being easy to share with other teachers and other students. Students are too young, that kind of thing. Now we have this umbrella that we can all jump in and use together. So I'm really excited about it, and I'm going to be doing these little mini trainings throughout the year and showing you some different things. But this one today is basically just how to set up your account. Okay, so the first thing, and this is listed in that email that just went out to you, but the first thing you're going to have to do is you're going to need to reset your password on a network computer. So if you are at home right now, you'll need to do this tomorrow. And you probably don't want to do it right now because we're in the middle of a webinar. So, but what you're going to need to do that is on a network computer, any of our school computers, if you click Control-Alt-Delete, it'll come up with a screen that looks something like this. Everybody's backgrounds look a little different. And one of your options is Change Password. And so when you click on Change Password, it'll take you to a screen that looks something like this. And it asks you for your old password and then to create a new one. So everybody, students and teachers, will need to reset their password to activate their Google account. And it's simple as that. In fact, you can even use your old password. You just have to reset it. And then what you're going to do is you're going to go to any Google.com, Gmail, anywhere you would sign into Google. So Google.com is the easiest place to go. And so when you're on a sign-in screen, you're going to put in your username, which is going to be your network login. So mine is M. Thornburg. So it's usually your first initial, last name. And then the domain, the @ is mvsd320.org. Okay? And then you'll just use your regular district network password that you just reset, and that's how you get into Google. For your students, they're going to use their network login. So theirs is their graduation year, their first 4 letters of their first name, and their last name. They should already know this. And then their domain is students.mvsd320.org. And again, they'll use their network login. And Lori says she can only hear me intermittently. I'll try to speak better into the microphone. Okay, so we've got our mvsd320.org, and you might have already started seeing that in different things because it's a little bit confusing, but for teachers, we actually have one email, but we have 2 email addresses. So that's the way we can make it work with our Outlook and all of that kind of stuff. So your email, whether you send it to mthornburg at mvsd320.org, or you send it to the mv.k12.wa.us account. They both go to your Outlook, and they look exactly the same, okay? So just know that. And then your students obviously didn't have email before, so now they're going to have email, and they will check their email in their Gmail account. And the difference in one difference in the accounts is that students right now, their account is walled off, so they can only communicate within our domain. So they can only send emails to staff and students with the mvsd320.org or also mv.k12.wa.us, and they can only receive email from people within those two domains. So they're locked in. Teachers can send out and receive in and all that from their accounts. Okay? Now, I'm not going to show this video here, but it's in the notes, and you can pop in and look at it. It's a 5-minute video explaining Google Apps for Education. And I'm just really excited about this culture of collaboration that we can build through this. And as we learn more about it, the big thing that we're going to learn is just about the power of sharing and all the different ways we can share with these tools. So as I share more with you, it's going to be about setting up setting up folders to share with our students or share with groups of teachers, and how to collaborate on a document, and how to, all those kind of things. So it's all about building this culture of collaboration. And I know several of you have already received messages from different team leaders saying, I'm sending you this in the Google Docs account and that kind of thing. And so you're saying, how do I open that? So we're already starting to use that in that way, in that collaboration way. Okay, so we talked just a second about Gmail, and this is just going to be the main thing for this particular webinar was how to sign up. So we've done that, and so now I'm just going to quickly, as much time as I have, go through and just give you a quick glance at some of the tools you'll have access to. So with Gmail, the students and staff have accounts, and I've already said that. There's lots of storage. It's really easy to search, so that's really nice when you're trying to find something. This is Google, so they know how to do search engines. And it also works with the calendar and other tools. So Gmail is a really powerful piece that we have for communicating. And here are some of the services that we'll have with Google Apps for Education. So the students and teachers will have Gmail. There's also a talk chat feature that can be used within the email. There's groups, so you can set up different groups like work study teams and things like that. Lots of great things you can do with calendars. And then your drive, this is like your thumb drive in the sky. You can save all, I see your question, Lori, in just a sec. So you can save all of your files on this drive in different folders, and then you'll be able to access them from everywhere. And then sites is like web pages. So I'm hoping to show you a few examples of that. Lori has a question. She says, so if we already have a Gmail account, do we make another one? I want to keep my other one private. So yes, you will have your school account, which will be your lcurley@mvsd320.org, and that's already set up for you. You just have to reset your password and log in, and you're good to go. And you can keep your other one private. So I currently now have 4 different accounts because I have a student account, a teacher account, my own personal account, and now there's another one, but I can't remember what it is right now. So anyway, and I can kind of toggle back and forth between those. It's a little bit confusing because I have more than one, but yeah, you can start separating that school and work Gmail stuff. Okay, so I mentioned Google Drive real quickly. That's where all of your stuff will be stored. And here's some things that are in there. We've got Docs. So there is, okay, now another question. Will we still be using Outlook? Yes, Outlook will still be your main email place. So even if you send something to mbsd320.org address, it's going to open up in Outlook. You can send stuff from the Gmail account, but you're going to receive everything in Outlook. So you might as well just use Outlook for your Gmail. I mean, for your email. Sorry. Okay, so in Docs you can create, it's just like a word processor, so you can create documents, but the cool thing is that you can share a document and more than one person can be working on the same document. It's really easy to update the shared documents so you don't end up with several different copies of the same, or different versions of the same document. And then you can also publish them, so it makes it really easy for a lot of people to see. Again, we're going to be talking about this for all year long. So this is just a quick, as much as I can get done in the next 2 minutes, I'm just going to kind of share it. So here's an example. Teachers could create lesson plans, and they could all share them in one place. And so then you have different lesson plans that you could access. In Google Docs, they have a great feature for making comments. So teachers can, students could write something and the teacher could pull it up and give them some comments and some feedback on their work. 2 people could be working on an agenda or something like that and writing comments over to the side as I create the document. And this can all be done real time. Spreadsheets and forms. You've seen a little bit of the forms as I've been sending out forms for you to sign up for different things. You can use those forms to do formative assessments, to do charts and graphs, and even to do self-grading quizzes, so lots of things. I got to see what the questions are. It wants me to download a Google Drive with an ad. Okay, you don't need to download the Google Drive. It's all accessible right on the web. What the Google Drive on your computer will do is that you can have a folder on your desktop that you can put files in that you want in your Google Drive. But it's totally something you can use without downloading anything, which makes it great for our students as well. So you will, Kim asked if you will need to log in. So oftentimes it will remember that you're logged in to whatever computer you're on, but especially if you're like me and you have more than one account, you might need to log in to let them know which account you're planning on using. Okay, here's an example of an assessment that a teacher created using Google Docs. And I'm going to have to stop here real soon. There's all kinds of cool scripts. I used a script today to, when you signed up, it sent you a merged document with the information you needed. And so everybody got an email responding to the form. And this is another one where if you were using Google Docs as an assessment tool, you could send the students their graded work. Very cool. Now I'm going to jump ahead here. Presentations. I'm using a Google Doc presentation right now. And I'll power through here. There's a drawing tool. Calendar, lots of cool things you can do with calendar. Arlene Thogerson at the high school has already set up assignment calendars, and she's attached her assignments to the different dates, and the students can click on a date and get their assignment right there. Here's an example of some different ways you can use the calendars. You can use it for signing up, like for a room or a piece of equipment and that kind of thing. And then Google Sites is a website, and that's where my digital literacy stuff is on a Google site. You can use it for student portfolios or for a class site like this. Here's a student portfolio where they put all their work in here. You could build a portal with teacher resources, all kinds of things. Okay, so we're almost out of time. The cool thing about Google Docs is all the sharing features. So in the coming weeks, we're going to do a lot with, and it won't be so fast. I promise. I'm going to talk about one little thing for 20 minutes. Okay, so speaking of that, next week we're going to talk about organizing with shared folders in Google Drive. So I think that once you get logged in to Google Drive, since you're starting fresh, one really good thing to do would be think about some folders that you want to store things in and some things you want to share with other people and students and that kind of thing. And so next week we're going to talk about some strategies for getting started with that, naming documents a certain way so that you don't just start off with a big mess of things, but you actually have a system in place before you get going. I'm really good at starting out with a mess of things, so I'm excited about a fresh start with systems in place. So that'll be next week, and I'll be sending out an email about that. And now, for your last thing on here, this is the address, and I'm going to leave it on for the rest of the time. This is the address to the form that you need to fill out to start getting the clock hour. So it's your reflection form. And so you can just type that into your URL right now and grab it. It's also available. It's also available on the collaborative notes over here. So if you go down here to the bottom, you'll see link to the reflection form here. And I will also send it out as an email to you. So does anybody have any questions? We're out of time. So anybody who needs to jump off, they can. But if somebody has a question, I'll be happy to do that. So Kim is asking, where do we log into Google Drive? So if you go to, I'm going to pull over a new tab over here. And I'm already logged in, so it looks a little different here. And but if I go to any kind of Google thing, like just go to google.com. And if I'm not already logged in, I'm going to move this over here for just a second so people can see while I log out, so you can see what it looks like. Okay. So if I'm not already logged in, I'll see a sign in here. And that's where I would go to do my KBETS or whatever. So I'll do that real quick. Okay. Once I've done that, I am logged in to all things Google. So if you look up here at the top, you'll see here's where I would get to mail. Here's where I would get to the drive, calendar, sites, and then there's a more button here too with other things that you can get to. So if I click on Drive, it takes me to my Google Drive. Okay, and Ty asked about, and I'm moving this back over here again. Ty asked about Edmodo, and Edmodo and Google Docs work together. When you're in Edmodo, and I can share this at a later date, but when you're in Edmodo, you can actually pull up your files from your Google Doc right in Edmodo and share those with other people. So I will share those things with you. The best way I can think of describing the difference between Google Apps and Edmodo, I see Edmodo as a place like a package for conversation, for packaging your lessons and building on conversations. And I see Google Apps as a place for creating content and for collaborating on content. We can play around with that, and we may find that we're doing some different things, and one works for you, and you don't really need the other tool. So you can play around and see which tools are working best for you in your classroom and kind of build what works for you. So I hear that there's a problem with the link that I shared over here. And if there is, I'll be sending that by email in just a minute, so don't worry about it. I'll send it to everybody again by email. It's actually in your email that you've already received from me. So it's in that Google Doc, but I'll send it again. All right. Any other questions? It's amazing how fast 20 minutes goes. All right, so I'm going to close things down for now, and I will be sending out an archive of this along with links and reminder of where the links are for you. And if you have any questions, please feel free to ask me. I know this went by really, really fast, and I promise that we're going to just kind of hone in on specific things, and we will get it all done. Okay? So, and like I said, you can go back and take a look at the archive and get a reminder of what to do as well. So I hope you all have a good Monday evening, and I hope to see you next week for the next webinar, which will be on sharing, creating those folders.